So my first inspirations or example of greatness in my mind were preachers. My first major influence was Reverend C.D. Daniels at Greater Jerusalem Baptist Church. I used to sit with him before he preached. I used to watch his movements, watch how he expressed things, and it really influenced me in a way that I didn't understand at that moment. So from, I guess, ages 3 to about 8, that was my main influence. Then I noticed that my grandmother became a pastor as well, and we relocated to a church called Morning Star Full Gospel under Bishop Larry D. Leonard. And I remember Marvin Winans came to Houston, and he spoke a prophecy over my life in that moment, and it really moved me. And I told my grandmother, I want to preach, Grandma. And I confessed my calling at Morning Star Full Gospel to be a preacher at age 10. So I started preaching at age 10, and I became known locally as the child preacher. And it became a thing of, I just wanted to make Reverend C.D. proud, my grandmother proud, my uncle, my grandmother's brother, Uncle Walter. I just wanted to make everybody in that space very proud of me. So they taught me how to use a concordance. They taught me, everything about being a great preacher. As I got older, I would say around 15, I started to see other things in my life that started to move me and inspire me. And when I say other things, my mom's brother, he wasn't as in the church as everybody else. And it just put me in a space of having to choose which person to make proud. It was either my grandmother, my mom, who's a strict educator, or my uncle. And because I didn't have a father around, I chose my uncle. So then I moved further and further away from the church to impress my uncle with, fighting and doing whatever he wanted me to do. And I remember it was a moment where my uncle himself pulled over. He had a PT Cruiser. And he pulled over and he looked me in my eyes and he said, "Nephew, you got to get out of Houston. This isn't the life for you." Because I had completely, at that point, this is like age 16, I completely left the church roots. And I wanted to be in the streets like my uncle, man. I wanted to impress him and do everything that I felt would make him proud. So for him to be telling me that this isn't what I needed to be doing, it took me by shock. And he took me to Sharpstown Mall, and my grandmother as well took me, and we went recruiter by recruiter. And I always tell this story to friends, but went to the Navy, they said an 11-month wait. Marines, an 11-month wait. Air Force, an 11-month wait. And the Army said, we can have you gone in 2 weeks. And obviously I chose the Army. I did my PT test, did really well, chose the medical field. And on that journey, I completely abandoned my upbringing and belief in Jesus Christ. And it took me on a roller coaster of situations in terms of, choices and decisions I made, relying on the past. And now that I'm back in Houston, yesterday we went to church. I was upset that we didn't make last Sunday's service, so we were, gung-ho on, making yesterday's service. And we went, and pastor spoke on Shout out to Pastor Cosby. He spoke very well on God using you where you are, and to not be ashamed of your past, but to always aim to be better than the day before. And I think that's a very big misconception on fulfilling your purpose or succeeding. You feel like you have to be perfect at something in order to excel or get better. And the only, object should be getting better than yesterday. So if you did this, don't do that so you can move forward. And that pushes you forward. The Bible says a just man falls 7 times and gets back up again. And but it also says faith without works is dead. So we always have to, put in the work. The work is, your daily prayer life. The work is reading your word. And then the work is also serving with your actions and making sure your actions align with what you say you love. Because the Bible also says your treasure is where your heart will be. And we have to make sure daily we check where our treasure is. Is your treasure in things? Is your treasure in possessions? And this aligns, that spiritual side, that physical side, and then that mental side, so you can really be in a clear space to succeed. And it really inspired me to not be so hard on myself, still pushing every day and being better, but it also inspired me to just be the best I can in every single moment and not be worried about the future, not be worried about the past, but staying in this moment to be the best I can for right now. And that's real talk.